It's And Just Like That, Season 3, Episode 2, The Rat Race. Carrie has difficulty interpreting Aiden's messages. Seema reluctantly agrees to see a matchmaker, and Charlotte wants to give her children an advantage in college applications. Really glad we practiced that, y'all. Really glad.
Well, like, move it along, son. I heard the word Charlotte and I was ready.
Here's what I'll say is Amanda played the sound over Charlotte's storyline because Charlotte's storyline sucks. I think that was just like the universe putting all of these pieces together. Guys, welcome. It's Pod in the City, baby. We're here. Season 3. What's so exciting is that for Season 3 of And Just Like That, we're doing live day of like first reactions on our YouTube page, which maybe you're there or maybe you're over on the podcast places, but these lives are exclusive to YouTube. So if you're just a listener, head over to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Pod in the City, or I think it's
at Pod in the City. Yeah, they can find it though.
Everyone find us, right? Because we already did episode 1. It's our #1 video ever. Help us make episode 2 our second or our whatever.
Even bigger.
I don't think it's going to be, because I'll be honest with y'all. This episode, I hated it.
Yeah, I really hated it. The rewatch was even worse. I really hate Carrie. God.
Carrie's become, I saw somewhere and someone was just somewhere, maybe one of you guys commented it somewhere. I don't know. There's a litany of stuff going on. So it's like, and someone was like, Carrie has just morphed into Sarah Jessica, like a version of Sarah Jessica Parker, which I think is doing a disservice, unfortunately, to the character, because she's become insufferable in a way that's like...
I don't think Sarah Jessica Parker is insufferable. There's that one weird interview. It's in like the season 6 DVD set, and it's her and Michael Patrick King, and she will not stop wiping her nose. And I always assumed that she was like coked out in it.
Oh, great.
Great. I don't think she's allegedly. I mean, maybe she's rich.
I mean, guys, if you want to help us become rich, hit subscribe, hit like, hit the share button too. I know you got at least one friend that likes Sex in the City. Go down there, hit share, text it out to a friend if you're not embarrassed. Here's another thing too. We also have a Patreon if you're interested. Over there we do a bunch of different episodes. This week we got a sharpshooting dame on Smash, which this is...
I have a question. Week. Would you have used this regardless if I said you have to use this as your screenshot? Or would you have gone with something different? Because this is such an iconic moment.
I'm glad you sent it to me, because similar to this episode of this, I think that might be my least favorite episode of Smash we've watched. Or am I just an ultimate negative?
For anyone just listening, the screenshot is of the last second of the episode where Angelica Houston takes a rifle because she's playing this big buck shooter game at this
like a video game
this trendy bar, and she goes, "It's my turn," and it is so like fabulous, but like gut-wrenchingly cringy.
I'll say that was probably one of the only parts of the episode I liked. So
you didn't think it was so... Me and Nick, when we watched that episode, we agreed that is one of the least sexy sex scenes that's ever had the intention of being really sexy. Where Deborah Messing's just standing there like shirtless. What's sex scene with Deborah Messing and Will Chase? And she's just like shirtless, and it's just like weird.
I need you guys to check out our Patreon, because I'm going to go deep in on the chemistry. Mind you guys, this episode is called Chemistry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go deep on the chemistry of Deborah Messing and Will Chase.
How about Karen's unprofessional behavior during that bar mitzvah? I was like, this is a hate crime.
Okay. What was the song she's singing?
Shake It Up. Shake It Up.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
She does
the
get the whole audience to do a limp wrist.
The audience all stops when they hear her sing. I'm like, hasn't she been singing the entire 2 hours?
People
But anyway,
walk
we'll
out
get
from
more
the
into
crowd
that.
and they're like,
Yeah.
transcendent. Anyway, we are on and just like that, guys, check out last week's episode. Did love it. What I'm also really loving is on our previous, go check out our other stuff too, because over on our Sex in the City and just like that episodes, I think we were doing Sex in the City season 2 and 3, or we were covering these like reveals that were coming about and just like that. And so now in this episode, I saw multiple things that we like saw throughout that time. We did see Carrie in blue tight dress in one of the photos from back when we were watching the set.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
We also saw her
and then them
skirt.
holding the science projects. I remember seeing
the science projects, her in that last outfit with the denim skirt. And we also saw her meeting the gardener. We saw her meeting him. We did also see the Hot Fellas Bakery, which I have as a gay during Pride Month. I've got opinions about the Hot Fellas Bakery decor. And I'm not believing a few things here. I'm not believing it.
You think it should be more phallic? if you're gonna go for it, like go for it. Right?
What I'm not believing ultimately is that Anthony Marantino was the hot wedding designer stylist who did Charlotte's wedding, and this gay is going to decide that good decor is a wall sconce shaped like a piece of bread.
Yeah,
there is no way. There is no way.
Did you notice that when Aiden did that really weird drunk line reading? Why does she keep trying to escape?
Oh,
like, are you struck in the middle of that line? Yeah.
I just thought he seemed off the whole time. You know,
really off.
His biggest off moment is, spoiler alert, guys, when he catches Carrie and she does her adorable scream.
I think I'm the only person on earth that does find that funny. I always love it.
Some people don't mind it, but look at the reactions from the other ladies. They're like, what is wrong with this woman? Anyway, his scream back is like, ah! It is so weird. I will also say, I mentioned on maybe last week's episode or the week before about how when he has the car jack-off scene, spoiler alert from last week if you guys didn't watch, that was in my nightmares all week, but when he licks his hand, he is talking just like this.
Yeah, and I was seeing that in all the comments and stuff too, but and he's doing it for the whole kitchen scene where Carrie's at that miniature table, because but I've seen him in interviews and I don't think he's doing that. So is this like a character choice that he's made for Aiden?
I believe, unfortunately, we are at the beginning of the season, which means that a lot of the people have recently completed some cosmetic work. And I think that, I'm just going to say it, I do believe that as the season goes on, the cosmetic work will likely settle. Because I do believe that a couple of them are looking very, I think that Georges says pickled. Their faces are very puffed out. And I'm thinking his looks very like just taut and tan. He just looks so taut and tan in a way that, like, if you put a picture of him now side by side with Aiden from when we first meet him, they look like two different people almost.
Well, all right. Well, let's get into this. You're leading
10 minutes in. Here we go, guys. We have talked about the episode, though, so I don't feel like we've been completely dogging around. All right. So first we have this, like, which, I'm going to sound like such a hater this whole episode. So just prefacing here, friends. I don't dislike the show. We like the show, we think, sometimes. Carrie is like walking in this blue dress, just how I want the episode to start. She walks over, it's like to this sexy music, and it's like, and just like that. She goes in this bar and she's like getting checked out by men as she walks by, which I guess we've now found out is Michael Patrick King. So like gently showing us that She's still got it, as though we can't tell.
Yeah, now for anyone who has been a long-time listener, I just recently started listening to the accompaniment podcast of the
writer's room.
Yeah, and it is just really, it's just like, oh, the whole, I've been thinking about how annoying the whole thing is. And they have two major things, is that the cream pie, they always want a cream pie. No, that kind of cream pie is sick.
What? They do not say that in the episode.
They talk about it all the time, and then they make their own little jokes, like not the good kind. But they like in a character like doing well and then having a cream pie in their face. Splat. Hilarious. So they love that.
What example did they give for that?
Like Miranda getting all excited to ask that guacamole girl out, and then her being like, I'm married and straight. And then the other thing that they really keep going in on is the hate watching thing, and how this is the annoying thing too, is it's like they're really trying to say fuck you to their own viewers. And it's like, we're trying to help you. Like, we want the show to be better. You don't have to like passive aggressively like read all of us with this. I would say
that they Michael Patrick King went on and on about how hate watching, he learned this brand new phrase similar to when Trump learned, this brand new phrase he just heard of, groceries. You guys have heard of groceries? You guys have heard this new thing called groceries? Yeah. Anyway, also SJP.
Yeah, learning about Neapolitan
introducing us to Neapolitan ice cream. Hey, Michael Patrick King, go somewhere that isn't surrounded by rich people in some bougie area and just be a person, and maybe you'll figure out how life is. This show is kind of annoying me, I'll be honest, in more of a way than me just being like, wow, this is stupid. But Charlotte's entire storyline is so out of touch with anything. It's like, you want me, okay, let's wait. All right, we're getting like all over the place here. So Carrie goes to meet our fave, and one of the, I think, future Emmy, at least nominee, possibly winner, Lisette. You guys, you know what we needed is more from Lisette. So Lisette they're just going back and forth about how wonderful the place Carrie got is. It's from the 1800s, and old women used to live there, and they're very fascinated with this mansion that Carrie bought because, of course, that's also very relatable. Not saying this show needs to be relatable, but Sex and the City was relatable in many ways. Was it not?
I've been thinking that they've kept Lisette around so that they have an easy way for Carrie to get her apartment back. So like you keep that person close.
I was thinking that was almost going to happen at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
I think the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, Carrie's going to be like so disgusted by them tearing out her thing, this, that, and the other, that she's like, I can't do this anymore.
Also, there's so many things in this that I'm realizing, like, why did Carrie even buy this house? Why did she get this cat? Because like, there's no way Carrie's upkeeping a long-haired cat, for one, and just the care of an animal.
Well, numerous times she lets it just run out the door and run wild through the neighborhood.
And then when that got like, also most well-behaved cat ever, because like any cat's not going to let some random guy in the street pick him up, hold it, just like lay in the arms like they're passing the cat back and forth. No. But then the other thing is that Carrie's backyard, I don't believe that Carrie Bradshaw is going to maintain the upkeep of this. Of course there's rats. It's a fully like leaved flowered yard.
Sure. She'd have a gardener for sure.
Yeah, I guess that.
Which is more unrealistic, though? That or the world's smallest kitchen in this 500,000 square foot home?
I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that kitchen, because I usually don't notice stuff like that, but that kitchen really stood out to me. How it's weird how it just doesn't fit in that house.
It's like they especially. I believe that it was probably the butler's kitchen or something like that.
It looks like servants'
mansion, old. From the 1800s, the back tiny room in the back corner would be where like the real cooking would happen. So I get that. But okay, so they go back and forth. This already here, guys, continuity. This makes no sense. There were multiple times in this episode that made no sense. And I was like, are we just not even trying to make things make just logic? Okay. I mentioned this in our live. So if you didn't see the live, go check it out. She gets this necklace Obviously, we know Lisette is a jewelry designer. Okay. There was a whole episode about it last season where it all got robbed. Okay. Like, we're not dumb here. So she gives her this necklace in this beautiful, like, necklace box. It definitely looks like the kind of like piece of jewelry that you buy at like a First Friday type thing. Like you'd buy it at a street fair. I wouldn't call this
100%.
designer jewelry, but whatever. It says Carrie's old apartment number. Now, mind you, Carrie takes this necklace. I wish I had a prop right now, but I don't. She takes this box out and she's like, 2, 4, 5. That's my old apartment number. And Lisette's like, yeah, so that you'll always remember where you came from or something like that. And then Carrie holding the box with the fucking necklace in it, talking to the person who just made it, and them acknowledging what they did. She says, you made this.
Yeah, it says it. She doesn't even have to close or open the box. It's like right there. Like the 2, 4, 5 is there, and then right next to it is the label that says Lisette. Also, the other reason I think that Lisette's going to sell her apartment back to Carrie is because she keeps giving mention on how poor she is and how like she just spent her money on these last 2 gimlets. And I'm like, so are you successful? Because you had an entire gallery thingy, and are you successful or not? Because you should have a side hustle going, girl.
I don't think she is successful because I swear I've seen her wear this outfit before, or the only thing they dress her in is baggy, oversized sequin shorts and tiny tops that show off every ounce of her body. Girl, let's give up Lisette. If you were able to write off Ravi in one episode, we don't need to see Lisette until Carrie's ready to go back in that apartment. I don't need to see her. I don't need to see it at all. I hate her. I mean, I don't hate her, but I also think her acting is bad.
Who cares about her?
You know whose acting is somehow worse? Charlotte. Okay. But before I get to that, so Carrie throws her phone. They're in the bar. This guy comes up and flirts with him. I guess we're supposed to think this is, again, supposed to indicate to us that, like, Carrie's still got options. Oh, she is hot as fuck in a skin-tight dress, perfect body.
Also, the dialogue between her and Lisette is very expository, which is something that Michael Patrick King is so proud of for hiding the exposition, because Lisette's like, oh yeah, this purse that's your purse is so small it doesn't hold these dumb phones that makes me check it every day because dating sucks nowadays. The exposition of this conversation is just so unnatural.
Luckily, I'm in such a relationship, such a beautiful old-time relationship. 5 years apart, nothing. Great. Then we get to this, where Amanda thought this part was funny. The internet thinks it's funny, I think, but then I was instantly offended for, how I am. LTW and Charlotte are all bitching about all the stuff they have to pick up at
I didn't think this was funny.
It's after this. It's
okay.
Like right after this. They're like, oh my God, we have to get all this stuff. We have to take all this crap. Then they see the other women standing there, and the other women are like, oh my God, my daughter's trying to get into Princeton. Well, my daughter's trying to get into blah, blah, blah. I've been talking to Lois Fingerbutch or Fingerhood, I think. Fingerhood?
Yeah, they made up a name so that they can say finger fuck later because they love those puns.
That seems to be the only way that they can make jokes in this show, because they do the same thing with Sherry O'Terry. Her name is
Sydney something.
Kirchhoff or something like, or Cherkoff.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I don't think you're. Anyway, we'll get to it. I'm like, could we be a little lazier in this? All right. Then they're like, oh my God, we need to get our privileged children into these privileged schools by hiring some privileged woman for thousands of dollars to then make her. Anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Then they burst into the principal's office and he's like, oh my God. And she's like, there is something terrible happening out there. And he's like, oh, motherfucker, I knew this day would come. And he pulls out a freaking flak jacket, throws it on. All right.
And it says faculty on it.
Personally, I don't find that funny, but I guess people do. So some people find it funny.
I love dark comedy.
basically the ladies are like, oh my God, no, I'm so sorry. That's not what we meant. And he's like, well, what's with all the drama and the big Charlotte eyes? And then they keep going on about this joke. They keep referencing that he said the F word. He said the F bomb and he's the principal. You guys, this storyline super relatable. And I know I probably sound like a whiny bitch and someone might come in the comments. Please comment down below. If you don't want Sex in the City and just like that to be relatable at all, let us know. Maybe we're wrong.
But the writers think it is relatable.
They can't.
Well,
do they really think that this Ivy League?
You should really listen to one episode of that podcast because it is like
I can't.
Wild how unaware they are of what's going on here.
If you guys are really totally unaware, I was on the if you're tuning in for the first time, I was on the train of not watching, and just like that, I went the entire time until it was time to record this, because now I'm doing this with Amanda, and I wouldn't have watched it. Because to me, this show does tarnish the legacy of Sex in the City.
Oh yeah, it's not canon. Not canon.
Unfortunately. Sorry, MPK, if you're watching, because I'm assuming you do kind of watch it, because you have made some adjustments for the good. Like you did get rid of Che Diaz. But I watched Watch What Happens Live this week. Mario Cantone was on. And you know, he's 65, by the way. He was a very annoying guest because he kept talking over the other person. It was Hoda Kotb and him, and he kept talking kind of over her sometimes. I was like, scoot back a little bit and wait till it's your turn, sweetie. But they did ask him, Andy Cohen asked him, so what about Che Diaz? Like, are you guys giving that? And his answer was just so like,
well, he said he didn't know.
It was like, oh, okay. And you couldn't go.
This affects me in no way.
You didn't know, but there was no talk on set, no mention.
I guess it's like a PC answer, because what's he gonna say? Like, yeah, that character was insufferable.
I will say that Mario Cantone did misgender Che Diaz.
Oh no! Well,
I can see. Mind you, though, if you guys go back and listen to our episodes, I accidentally misgendered many times. So I apologize to the non-binary community. Anyway, continuing. Oh, motherfucker, this day would come, blah, blah, blah. They find out that this woman, Lois Fingerbomb or Fingerhood, is impossible to get. And he's like, there's a reason her name has finger in it. And he's like, oh my God. Because in case you guys didn't know, like, it's so funny that a principal would say the F-bomb. All right. Then Carrie's out in her backyard. Great. Carrie's now writing in her garden. She's decided her novel is going to be her life, basically, but in 1846. Because all that she's writing is like, the woman realized that as she moved on, that time was not but a passage of blah, blah, blah.
You should hear when Michael Patrick King, like at the end of the first episode, where he's like, and then Carrie writes, for the first time in history, the woman wondered. And I was like, you could not be more up your own ass right now.
Guys, comment below. Comment somewhere.
Are you listening to the writers' room?
To the writers' room. Do you hate it or do you love it? Maybe someone's listening and they're like, "Yeah, this."
It is the biggest definition of a hate listen, which is so ironic because they went on and on about how hate watching and hate listening is a thing.
I think he just learned that phrase. I really do. I think he's just come upon the idea of hate watching because this episode. Well, we're not there yet.
The first time I ever heard the term hate watch, it was over the show Smash.
Oh.
Except I don't even know if that was a hate watch because there were still so many fabulous moments about it. But like you're there to
you were a musical theater person, you were locked in.
You were fully locked in. Like that's all you thought about all week.
That was like also a time when it was also a different time. We didn't have TikTok or anything. Like I knew the day that was on. Pretty sure I went to the bar to go watch it because they would do like showings. Yeah. I did lots of gay bar viewings of things. We did Glee showing viewings at the gay bar.
Drag Race.
Drag Race, exactly. Okay, so Carrie's in the yard, which is lovely, but I always wonder with these yards in New York where you have huge buildings around you, it's like, is that really even fun or private? You're like sitting in this little square. She has a very lush, beautiful backyard or yard. Well, she does for about 5 minutes here. She sees a squirrel and she's like,
People pointed this out online of that, like when she goes to the country, Sex in the Country, of course, Carrie sees that squirrel outside and she's bitching about the squirrel. And she's like, a squirrel is just a rat with a cuter like tail or whatever. And then in this one, she's like, hello, little squirrel. I'm like, you guys just don't even know the character anymore.
She literally is like, she might as well just be like on a swing set being like,
she's wearing high heels too in your backyard. Put on some Crocs and call it a day, bitch.
These aren't even just high heels. They're like
a big
silk
bow.
high heels with a big silk bow on the top. So you're wearing it made no sense.
And to gain access to that yard, you have to climb up and down that winding staircase. May I remind you, broken hip.
Well, after last episode, she would have at least been sore a little bit.
Yeah, God, this woman does not own some Crocs or like Birkenstock.
So she's sitting there like side saddle with her feet like really, and of course, because she always is, I guess. She has no foot issues at all. No plantar fasciitis for this bitch. And then like this squirrel like scurries down into a bush, and then like 1,000 rats run out of it. And she's like, running up the stairs. All right. Then she's in the hallway, shoeless. So I guess those are her outside, like,
yeah. She leaves them at the top of the stairs outside on a mat.
Funny because like for my backyard, I have like a pair of sandals that like I'll put on when I go out to the backyard.
Me too, mine are Birkenstock sandals. So it's like
they just sit there,
comfy.
So the idea is that these are Carrie's like backyard shoes.
Yeah, these are my shitty shoes.
Because immediately after, she's upstairs in the hallway. Now, maybe she freaked out and took them off because they would have rat. Whatever. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt.
Later that there were so many rats, she had to throw out her shoes. I'm like, the rats didn't even touch you. Like, you're a psycho.
It wasn't like there was a trove of rats like,
and they were shitting on her shoes. Like, you don't need to throw those shoes out at all for any reason.
I actually kind of wish, as a horror movie fan, I kind of wish we would have gotten like rats running up her legs or something, like her like chasing off the rats, falling off the balcony, being perfectly fine. You know, that would have been considered a physical comedy moment in this. Except
they have some physical comedy. The scene where Lisa Todd Wexley runs into that soccer field, Michael Patrick goes, "Here's a great little moment for some physical comedy." From Nicole Laurie Parker.
I was just gonna say the reason that they didn't give that to Carrie is because LTW and Charlotte are handling all the physical comedy this season.
Yeah.
Because you know what goes hand in hand? Zaniness and getting your child into a Ivy League college. Those two really like work.
Yeah. Meanwhile, LTW is doing a documentary on unsung Black women, but we'll put that in the back burner for now.
Yeah, give her like 1 second of doing that where she's like, "Oh, isn't this so boring? Isn't my documentary so boring?"
Yeah. Like, all right.
Anyway, all right. So she's upstairs. She's talking on her phone, shoeless, which now makes more sense because she, I guess, threw him out. She's basically writing a novel as a text to Aiden. She's like, "Oh my God, shoot, the rats ran out, blah, blah, blah. So wish you were here, yada, 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 on and on and on. Periods, this, that, and the other." Then she deletes it. Oh. Miranda's in her office, you know, making coffee, and these two girls that we've met previously.
Yeah, the one is like basically Casey Wilson.
But blonde. She's kind of blonde, right?
Yeah, she's blonde. But like,
she really
Casey
does
Wilson would have played this part like 10 years ago.
Well, they do like to put comedic people into parts where they do no comedy.
Just straight man roles.
Like Kristen Schall, which made, again, would someone like to do a tally of how many times I say it made no sense? because I'm pretty sure that's my thing of this episode. Okay. Miranda's in the office making coffee. These two girls are watching Bi Bingo, this show that's like a Love Island type thing for, I guess, bi people, but they only ever show women on it. So
yeah.
I don't know how, whatever. So this, obviously, MPK, this is where they introduce the idea of the hate watching into such a new concept. We've never heard of it before. It hasn't been around for 20 years or so. So Carrie goes,
I don't think is great with constructive criticism, I would say.
I just don't think he's great with reality.
Yeah, like this is just why the conversation about that is just why. I played it on our live. By the way, guys, every Friday at noon Mountain Standard Time, 2 Eastern, we do a live reaction where we just kind of shoot the shit about our like initial reaction to this. And I did pull an audio of that podcast where they're talking about how people are so dumb with their hate watching and like,
when you're still watching it anyway. So like, what are you doing? Well,
because we want it to be good.
With this show,
first episode was good.
Okay, I think on the rewatch, not as good, but I will say our lives. It's funny because our first live, literally the two of us were like, ah. The second live, we're like, this wasn't good, unfortunately. Okay, so Carrie goes out to her yard now. Some time has passed. Oh my God, it's all been torn up. This guy came there and she's like, oh my God, you tore up my yard. He's like, lady, you told me to get rid of all the rats and everything. It was like a super highway out there. And Carrie's just like, oh God.
This whole episode is just Carrie being rude to a bunch of blue collar workers. Most of them people of color.
Basically, it's like, oh, I know I told you to do that, but
yeah,
why'd you do it?
And somebody pointed out a really good, I didn't even think of this, but later people like, there was a whole thread about how when Carrie's like, you need to use the most poisonous, diabolical poison. And people said that they like stopped to Google if Shu dies in the episode because like, it seemed like that's where it was going to lead to, that like Shu was going to, or like that's why she was trying to escape because the whole house smelled like rat poison.
When Shu escaped, I definitely thought there was going to be something like her getting into the thing and Carrie rushing to the vet, but Shu is basically at this point a shoe because it's an accessory to Carrie. It's not an animal in any way. In any way.
And she's just a bad pet owner. Like she just doesn't seem to have any bond. Like I just don't even know if Sarah Jessica Parker likes animals. I get the impression that Sarah Jessica does not like animals. Or she's like a Chloe Sevigny where she's just like, which I think is crazy.
Carrie takes this butt ugly necklace and she puts her key on it, which means like, what is this? Is this even a necklace at this point, or is this a lanyard? Like, what's going on? She's like pining. The whole rest of the episode is her pining over this fucking table that like I love design. I love interior shit. I love a beautiful table. It is, I guess the idea here is like it's wood and then the middle looks like it's glass. Guys, this looks like a conference room table or a table that like, you know, those like standing desks that have like a little remote that you like lift or like a little button. That
yeah, it does. It kind of looks like a desk.
This does not look like anything Carrie Bradshaw would ever want, ever.
Okay, in this whole, like, I know what they're trying to do here is like talk about how now Carrie's in her 50s or 60s and she's dealing with like text etiquette. But I'm on her side in the fact that like if I fucking sent my boyfriend something and he gave just not even a thumbs up is rude enough, but a thumbs down, I would be fucking pissed too. And it would be just radio silence for like at least 6 days.
Well, technically he hasn't given the thumbs down yet,
but he does. I'm saying when he gives a thumbs down as her response.
I mean, there have already been a million red flags leading up to this, but
right,
some bitch ass is not giving me a thumbs down emoji unless it's like sarcastic. Now I love a thumbs down emoji if you're joking.
Yeah, not about something serious, especially when we just had a conversation. Like, text me anytime. I want to hear from you.
Also, Carrie was like, in her thing, wrote the reason that she like had been pining over it and being like, it's some wood like you and some, I wrote it somewhere here. She's like, it's like wood. It's like the wood is like you, and the design is like me. And it's weird, like the two of us. And they're both
like
exhausting.
A thumbs up would have even been pushing it. But a thumbs down is like breakup.
Well, at this moment, what's happening is that Carrie is like standing in her closet and Shu sneaks up on her. Oh my God. And she's like, oh my God, Shu, don't scare me like that. And then she puts Shu down and then Aiden sneaks up on her, which I don't like that either. I don't like to be scared.
First, though. He's like a sling blade over here.
And I wrote, wait, what's going on with him? So he is drunk in this? Like, he's like,
hey, because a couple of people in the live chat said, yeah, I noticed that line reading was really weird. Why does she keep trying to escape?
They go into this whole thing about, she's like, yeah, okay, like, I thought we weren't supposed to be seeing each other. And he's like, well, I can come because Wyatt's with the whole family. The whole family's there this weekend watching after Wyatt, because you know what they have to do with Wyatt? They just have to stand around him holding hands and praying the whole time because he's
this
the Antichrist.
Kid is going to off himself even quicker now because you guys won't give him some fucking space.
They're acting like this kid is truly the bad seed. Like he's Damien there, like pulling a freaking exorcism on him.
Yeah, but another thought that I had was what they should have made his storyline that he tried to jump off a bridge or something. Like he tried to kill himself, which he didn't. He took mushrooms and crashed his car. But
like a DUI.
Right, which is
an underage DUI, which is bad. Well, no, it's bad, but it's not.
But they should have made the stakes way higher. And the stakes are not high enough for this to be happening. It should have been like a full suicide attempt trigger.
It would make make more sense why he would be sleeping in bed with him.
Yeah. Because right now, he wasn't even like, he was like, they found out, like, and then if it's going to be a drug storyline, it should be that they found out that he is addicted to meth and he's been doing it for years and years. Mushrooms isn't even something that you can get addicted to.
It's stupid. I wouldn't say that stakes though are anything that I wouldn't associate stakes with Sex in the City, except when that one guy who used to live in New York eats the steak and spits it out. And Miranda's disgusted because she's a real New Yorker.
You wouldn't set out a steak like that in New York.
There's some long out reason why he's able to come, and then they have this really awkward, gross looking kiss. All right.
And
I am not a hater.
Out of him. It's a bit now. Just putting the cat out of the room is a bit.
We like to draw that bit out, but we can't have Seema do her matchmaking thing for more than one episode, y'all.
God, please.
Anyway, he apologizes to her, lifts her up as though they're just getting married.
Michael Patrick King says, do you see what he does? He sweeps her off her feet. This is what she wants. She wants a fairy tale. He sweeps her off her feet.
MPK did not say that.
Do you think I'm making this up? As I was rewatching, he said everything about all of this.
Because what baffles me then is that he has put so much time and care and consideration into that stuff, but not actually like the overarching picture of like what your character should be doing or being. You're caught up in the minutia of him picking her up because she wants to be swept off her feet and guys looking at her because she's still hot and available. Honey, we get that shit. We don't need.
Well, I think the issue is more direction. I'm really on this side of this, is that the direction is really the problem. Because they clearly have put so much thought into this script. And I think that the direction is just really bad.
They haven't put enough into the script, honestly.
They think they have.
All right. Charlotte and Anthony are now walking. Charlotte has forgotten how to act in this episode.
I like this outfit though. It's really cute.
She looks really cute. We find out that Anthony, he goes up. He's like, Sha, look at the window. And she looks at the window. She got lobotomized some point.
They were laughing like hyenas over this bit in the podcast.
over the bit that, okay, this is what happened. She looks at the window. There's a sign that says Hot Fellas Bakery coming soon. Her line is, oh my God, Anthony, someone stole your amazing idea.
It's like anti-comedy.
Is
That's
this
what Jody would
woman
call this.
stupid?
Anti-comedy.
I'm genuinely.
He's like, no, Shaw, this is mine. It's my brick and mortar, or rather, dick and mortar.
I'm fine with the dick and mortar and brick and mortar. The part that I'm not understanding is that Charlotte has made it to whatever point in her life, and she's too dumb. She genuinely, her first thought is that someone stole your idea. This makes no. He is walking you there. This is just as stupid as Carrie being like, you made this necklace that has your name on it? All right. Charlotte. They decide that they're going to go in, all right, to see the work. This we talked about on our live because this is incredible. This is stupid. As a lover and objectifier of men myself, guys, as you know from our weekly roundup, check it out every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about big booty hoes.
Yeah, we do a TikTok section where John shows some booties.
Big booty men. All right. So they go in, and Anthony's like, honey, don't believe what they tell you in gay porn. There's no hot construction workers don't exist.
And there's all these like not hot construction workers that are like
basically like
putting your fucking store together.
Big men with like basically what they're implying is that these men are gasp overweight and they're doing construction work. They don't what Anthony? They don't have big dicks and tight bodies so they can be the Hot Fellas Bakery men who all are on steroids, which was the storyline that you had anyway.
And I almost wonder, like, a lot of if this is going to be a brick and mortar store, I think a lot of health code violations are going to happen just based on what they're wearing.
He implies that he has built the counter at dick height and that he's a genius for that.
Well, that's not going to hurt anyone's back.
Which makes sense. Like, I get that. Like, if you're
I guess it's like here and there's like a dick right in front of you.
People have to look down at the baked goods and then they see Giuseppe's like constantly hard, massive cock.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. I'm getting heated, and it's not that it's just June in Arizona, but I'm ching. All right. This is, I've already mentioned this, but he pulls out a sconce made of bread. Now, if you guys don't know what a sconce is, if you're not gay enough, it is a light fixture that's like on the wall. Like, so the idea here is that I would believe that Anthony has good taste. Now, he did have Liza at his wedding and the live swan. So maybe he doesn't have good taste, but he takes out these light fixtures that just look like loaves of bread. And he thinks that these are just très chic, I guess, and like amazing. This maybe just bothered me because I am a gay who also likes design and stuff. And I'm thinking, no, you could maybe do something that's like implying that you are not going to have a photorealistic bread loaf on the wall for a light. I'm sorry, Anthony. Get it together. This show doesn't know its characters. All right. You know what? This all has been happening under Charlotte's nose, and Anthony hasn't told her because she's been so busy. All right. We're now into Carrie's teeny tiny kitchen that makes no sense. She has a tiny fold-up table, and like on the windowsill is like a bucket with a bunch of straws and pencils in it. There's also a lamp that doesn't really fit there with the cord draped down and plugged into a plug right under the table. And then there is a plate with 2 slices of toast cut in half, no bites taken out of them.
They're sharing it. They're sharing that. And it's not, she can't even put it on the table. So it has to sit on the windowsill.
What drives me nuts here, though, again, maybe I'm being too stickler to like just logic, is that okay, there's no like, he doesn't hand her the toast. It would have made more sense if the scene started with him handing her the toast and then putting it there. But the scene starts up as though that toast has been just sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
No one is leaving their warm buttered toast to just sit there and cool off on the windowsill.
I doubt it's buttered, to be honest. It's probably just dry toast.
Well, Carrie does eventually, SJP, I'm not going to call her Carrie at this moment, takes a bite and then chews it up and talks, and then I don't see a swallow. Okay, so Carrie's saying to Aiden that she felt like she couldn't send him this text. She doesn't understand that because she thought they weren't supposed to be in touch. She's like, why are you here now? Like, we weren't supposed to be doing this.
Which is valid. I mean, absolutely valid. I would dress him fucking down right here.
You would never have done what she did in the first place. So I can't
even in my 20s.
You would have told a guy you would have been fine waiting 5 years for him? No.
Yeah, probably.
No one
I probably would have moved. No,
especially not a 60-year-old woman who's living on what is that? Botten?
Yeah.
Living on borrowed time. There we go. Yeah. Botten.
Aiden says, I gotta stay fucking laser focused over there with the situation, but you can text me.
He's like, I really felt lost too. Like, I felt so guilty and bad that, like, on the night of what happened with Wyatt, that, like, I should have been there. He's then agrees, which you're a dumbass. He agrees to allow Carrie to text him anytime, any place about anything. And we know where this is going. Then they take the one tiny little bite out of the bread. They share the piece of toast with nothing on. You couldn't even put a bit of jam on it?
No.
Y'all are sitting in this teeny tiny kitchen reading the newspaper with a dry ass.
This is where Shu tries to escape and Aiden's all of a sudden wasted. Or he's having a stroke mid-sentence.
Oh, okay. This is when it happens. I think I started to really zone out. I wrote, this is stupid and I don't care. I don't know if they're expecting the audience to be like, oh my God, this is a love story for the ages, y'all. Like, Carrie and Aiden are endgame. Or are they trying to make us want him to not? You know what? They could be trying to do a slight bit of audience manipulation like they did with the Russian when they had all these bad dudes to make Big look better. Maybe they're just trying to make Aiden's situation look so god-awful that, like, by the time he's gone, the audience is like, thank God, yay. Instead of being like, when's Aiden coming back?
Yeah, because we don't even see him for the whole rest of this episode now.
But he is at the eventual funeral that happens in this season at some point. All right. They're established. Okay. They're establishing here that Shu's always trying to get out of the house. And I do believe that I'm going to assume that Michael Patrick King is using this as some kind of idea that, like, Carrie's wild pussy can't be tamed or something, like it's impossible. Just like the tearing out of the yard. Like, they're doing something. They're trying really hard to make some art relation to the house, and trying to make some deep Carrie is the house or something. The tearing of the right? Did they say anything in the writer's room?
No, not really.
Cut to Miranda, who's watching the House floor of the U.S. House, House of Representatives, while also it pans out and she's watching Buy Bingo on her phone, which was actually
that was like the one funny kind of ish moment, directed-wise.
And she does say the common line that, like, I think every reality show person who watches reality shows are like, how much could you even know this person? What have you been through together? You just met last week. Which is a very common, like, it's like, bitch, you've known the person for 48 hours and they're your best friend and you're crying about
best friend. This is always how it is in theater relationships, is that people have best friends by Friday.
Now,
best friends.
Theater does do something to you that you trauma bond in a way.
I guess that's what it is. I mean, I guess.
All right. She then is Carrie scrolling on Instagram, finds a garden she thinks looks pretty, but then later says she has no idea what she wants it to look like. Then she finds a stupid, ugly table again because she gets a notification. Carrie decides she's going to write this long-ass message to Aiden saying, honey, we need furniture. We need to buy furniture. And it's like, who's we, girl? She's like, it's got style and woodwork. And it, again, looks like a conference table. Carrie's acting like a 25-year-old, you know, in the way that she would react to this whole situation, in my opinion. And he sends the thumbs down emoji, which, you know, I agree with the thumbs down, but I feel like there's a better way to probably.
Yeah, it's just very, I don't know. Men need to learn texting etiquette.
Okay, then cut to Seema, Miranda, and Carrie out to lunch. Some guy's checking out Seema, and she thinks that she might have already dated him. She's convinced she's dated all the men in New York City. And this is when we're introduced to Guacamole Bitch, who I will only coin as Guacamole Bitch because she is a bitch. I'm sorry. She says a line that is that has kept me up at night, all right? Miranda starts going on about this buy bingo show, and the bitch is like, decides that she's like, oh, I love that show. Like Jamie, oh my God, she's great. Oh, Carrie's sitting there with the most dumbfounded look on her face. They keep panning to Carrie, and Carrie's like, Miranda's flirting? Oh, wait, what? Right?
Yeah, well, Seema
that was strange.
I didn't really notice Carrie, to be honest. I was more concentrating on Seema here.
Miranda then talks about this amazing new concept, hate watching, and then Seema's like, I think I'm hate dating. You know, then Carrie's like, what exactly does hate dating look like? Which, do more of this. Cut to Seema on a litany of dates. She goes on the first one. She's like, I think your divorce isn't final, and you're shopping around, and you'll rectify with your wife about 10 minutes after you say you love me. And I bet your name isn't really Wolf, and it's probably Stan or Dan. And he's like, it's Dan. Then she goes on another one. She's like, oh, let me guess. You hooked up with your 27-year-old temp, blah, blah, blah. Finally, this last guy comes up with an ascot on his neck. And he's like, hi. And she's like, nope. And she gets up. This is fun. If we're going to talk about zany things, this to me works, right?
Yeah, more of this.
I'd probably say this is maybe the most, well, Sherry O'Terry is pretty successful in this episode, in my opinion, too.
Yeah.
I liked her a lot. Then we cut to Miranda in her office, and this British lady, who I believe may be the best actress on the show.
She looks like Lorraine Newman.
She does. She looks like a mix of Lorraine Newman with this other British woman. And I keep thinking, like, do I know
the woman from The Office? The woman from The Office.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Something.
Catherine. I know. But yeah, Catherine Tate.
Catherine Tate. Yeah. She looks like a mix. She does look like a mix between those two. She's really great. And I don't know if she workshopped her lines with the writers or something, but her lines
maybe
actually
her and Cynthia Nixon had like a run through together, a chemistry read, and it somehow worked.
Maybe
what a concept. But the scene was great.
It actually is good. She's like, oh, how does a lowly intern who's only been here a month have her own office? And she's like, why haven't you gotten America to fix the world yet? And then she goes in and she's like, and Miranda's like, take a seat. And she sits down and she's like, so what are you up to? And Miranda's like, well, the offices, whatever. And she's like, no, I meant in your life. I can get all that out there. Tell me something scintillating. And then I actually laughed at this part. Well, the other night I took a nun's virginity, and I was like, ha. And then the lady like puts this box down and goes and closes the door immediately. And she's like, so what you're saying is you're the Antichrist. And then they do that. And I'm like, you could have stopped there. They did wear this out because they're like, oh no, would the Antichrist have an office with only one window? Well, that one window looks pretty blah, blah, blah. Luckily, they have chemistry.
Yeah, they need some editing here. There's a few scenes in here that could have just been cut out. Like the we don't need to see this part that's about to come up with Bonnie Milligan finding the Kristen Schall. You didn't need that scene. You didn't need her Charlotte calling this out. Let me sum up what happens here, because by the way, I do have a hard out at 5:45. But
I got a hard in at 5:30.
Oh, she calls LTW, who this is the 1 second we get of, oh, remember she's working on this documentary about Black women. But so then we don't need the scene with Charlotte going to find Lily. I mean, I get Lily's making out with that guy. That's fine. But that seems, we're trying to do this bit where Charlotte's standing on this stairwell and people keep kind of coming around her, but the bit wasn't bit-y enough for it to even be funny.
Well, I would like people to take record that it only took until episode 2 for me to remind us that these episodes would be much better if they were like the length of Sex and the City episodes.
But then you definitely didn't need the LTW running to the soccer field. Like, you didn't need that at all. We did not need any of this.
I need someone to comment. I swear, please God, tell me, were you a person who laughed at that? Like, did you laugh at her like running around being like, oh, coach? All right. So yes, Charlotte's at the gallery, you know, doing all this stuff. They find out that this woman is at her kid's baseball game. Kristen Schall in a non-comedic role for some reason. They do go out there and she can tell that they're full of shit right away. And I'll say, I liked LTW's outfit in this. I hated that she's wearing leather culottes, but I love the top part situation. I don't hate it, but she's wearing these ugly leather shorts. It's just, no. All right. Then Charlotte's obsessively calling Lily, and then she sees her making out eventually with the ballet dancer. We saw this in one of the previews. I think the whole season preview has her making out. Charlotte though is like, oh my God, this is what's his face. I thought that he was just made up in your mind. We all thought he was a lie. Why? What does that have to do with anything? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Back to Seema, and she's like, okay, so then we have LTW's physical comedy moment. She's running across the track in this outfit. Great. Back to Seema, and she's fielding calls from these men who want her because she was such a bitch to them. Like, the men like her more when she's a bitch and calls them off, I guess, except that later Sherry O'Terry tells her not to be a bitch, and then she is a bitch to the guy, and then he doesn't like it. So, guys, again, this isn't making sense. So, her boss, Elliot, comes out, and he's like, honey, you need Sydney. And she's like, who is that? That 78-year-old Pringle heir with a colostomy bag? And he's like, oh, no, honey, Jerome just passed. That was kind of funny. Then he's like, I will give you her information. Guess who Sydney is? It's Sherry O'Terry. I love Sherry O'Terry. Always have. Amanda and Jody incredulously left her off of their list, and they included Kyle Mooney on top people on SNL, and they didn't put, anyway.
She was in the discussion, of course. I think Molly Shannon beat her out.
And yet,
Kyle Mooney.
All right. Seema thinks that Elliot's trying to get her to set up with so Seema meets Sydney, who comes, and she's like, oh God, Elliot thinks everyone's gay. It's okay. I'm not a lesbian, which you know what? That is one self-realized moment from Michael Patrick King, is that most gay guys, we do think everyone is gay. So Seema says she's Indian, so she knows matchmaking her whole life. But then Sherry O'Terry reads her down. She says, so you're 55, let me guess, you're 55 passing for 49, financially stable. You want someone to take care of but you have to make the decisions. You're the one who chooses the restaurant, the wine, and flags down the waiter for the check. You made all your dreams come true except for finding the man of your dreams. And now you say it's because you're picky, but it's really because until now, you hadn't had me. All right. And then she's like, I'm not paying. Elliot's paying. Great. The waitress comes over and Sherry O'Terry orders the salad that allegedly we're to believe, again, that this is exactly how Seema would order her salad. It's a salmon tart. No, it's not a salad. Salmon tartare with the wasabi vinaigrette on the side and blah, blah, hold the scallions.
Then Sherry O'Terry orders a martini for herself. And this always irritates me, is when someone orders a martini, because you can't just order a martini. The person is going to be like, what kind of alcohol would you like? And how would you like that martini? And like, that is always so irritating to me.
Okay, but
I go into a restaurant right now and ordering a martini, and they're going to be like, what?
They're like, great.
That's like asking for a beer.
Give me a beer.
Yeah.
Though I kind of let it go because her line is semi-funny, because she's like, give me a crispy artichoke and a martini 5 minutes ago, which I didn't hate. You know what? Bring Sherry O'Terry on as the Samantha.
Have Sherry O'Terry and Rosie O'Donnell have their own spinoff. Sherry O'Terry could help Rosie O'Donnell get back into the dating scene. That would be amazing. And Seema could also be in there doing her own dating thing.
A spinoff about Sherry O'Terry's like matchmaking.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, I do love this. All right. She goes on to just be like, you're fucked up, Seema. You wear animal prints and metallic. And that means that you're cold and a predator. It's like, Jesus. All right, girl. So then whatever. Seema's back at home and she starts to realize her bed is made for two and she's just one.
Even better. You have more space that way.
You know what, Amanda? If there's anything we've learned from this show and Sex and the City, it's that it's better to be dead than single. All right.
As long as you're in a relationship, you're doing okay. But yeah, now we go to Kristen Schall's big comedic scene, right?
Well, no. First, Carrie is in this really strange getup where it looks like she looks like Blanche from the Golden Girls. She's wearing these like pants with a sweater and these big glasses, like 80s glasses. And it's like, truly, this is one of those moments where they say if you change the hair, they'd look like if you put Blanche's
for sure. She's wearing it's more of a Rose outfit, actually. Because it's like the polyester pleated pants and then like a sweater.
Agreed. And
orange on like nautical blue is kind of what the colors are here.
It's not a
terrible outfit, but this is her. This is where she just yells at the exterminator for the entire.
She's like, kill every last rat in this goddamn city. And she's like, okay, lady. And then this woman comes out and is like, excuse me, I'm hoping those are going to be organic and non-toxic. And Carrie's like, oh, absolutely. No other way to go. Is this supposed to make us like Carrie that she's polluting?
Well, I think it's just referencing that there are bitches like this all over the city that would come up. I would love for someone to come up to me and say that to me. And just be like, I hope that it's organic and non-toxic.
I hope that someone who has lived in New York City, what seems to be 45 years at this point, named Carrie Bradshaw, would realize that, wait, outdoor spaces in New York City might have rats?
You're sharing New York with rats and pigeons. It's like a total. If you're standing on the subway, like if you're standing waiting for the subway, you're gonna see like 5 rats run by, and it's not even gonna be.
So good luck.
They're just there chilling.
Did you watch Good Night and Good Luck?
No, I thought you were gonna say the Broadway movie, the movie or the Broadway, and I wouldn't sit through either of those. It comes just like the cover of the poster seems pretentious to me. Isn't it like George Clooney like smoking in black and white?
Yeah. You know what I'm over is it's one of those shows again on Broadway where they're using screens and like filming the person and then putting them on the screen. It's like
they did that during Frost Nixon, which I saw on my honeymoon, and it was great. That was a great show.
They've been doing that a lot. They do it in anyway, whatever. LTW and Charlotte are
the show with Brian Network. I saw Network on Broadway too.
They're also doing it with Sunset Boulevard. They did it with that last West Side Story production that opened right at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay, so then LTW and Charlotte are pacing outside of this very relatable meeting where Kristen Schall is talking to the kids about all these things that, you know what? I'm really upset. I'm on the edge of my seat because what will ever happen to these incredibly privileged children? What if they don't get into the Ivy League school that they want?
I thought this was kind of an interesting storyline in that now we've kind of come all the way back around on like PC and wokeness, that like now it's actually not to your benefit to mention that you're Asian or adopted, or like they want you to be more relatable, unlike the show apparently.
I'm gonna think that though also has to do with that maybe. So what happens in the scene is Kristen Schall, straight man of the century, comes out, and then the kids are like freaking out, doing bad acting. I know Amanda said she likes Lily's acting. I don't think it was very good. This episode was pretty bad, actually. It was community.
Okay.
She's like, oh my God, I can't even tell them that I'm adopted or that I'm Asian. And it's like, I think maybe that more has to do with that. That's like what everyone, like, your first thing is like, what can I point? Like, if I was going to write one, I'm gay and I grew up, my parents divorced when I was young and this, that. It's like, you can't just go after what the like things are, right?
I thought that Herbert Jr., I don't even know if this was intentional, but he gave me very much Chris Jackson vibes, like in his voice. Like, I don't actually believe that the director of And Just Like That would even request like, hey, spend some time with the person who played your dad and try to emulate him. But maybe the kid is a really like actually cares about his job. So he like did a good job of being like, this is who the son would be of this dad.
I don't think so, because I actually thought he was pretty bad.
Oh.
But
I watched Hamilton last night, and I watched the pro shot of Legally Blonde today. So like I'm like all Chris Jackson up. So I was sad to not see him in this episode. It's really hot in Hamilton.
This scene ends with Charlotte hyperventilating and needing to breathe into a bag because this has shaken her so much. She's like, I knew this would happen.
Then she says the finger fuck joke. Hilarious.
I hate it.
Kristen Schall leaves. And that's it. That's what we got Kristen Schall for.
And Seema's, I feel like she has to come back because there is no way that's her one line that's supposed to be a joke is she leaves and then it's an ADR line of her going, good luck with Debbie.
Yeah. It almost seemed like an improv line.
It was. Seema's now out in her pastels to meet this guy, Jake. He's talking about his family and all this shit. And she doesn't like, I'm like, who gives a shit? And she's obviously pretending she doesn't care. He then orders tiramisu. He orders them 2 tiramisus, like in each one.
I feel like that's a pretty big swing to assume that the other, like, I feel like chocolate cake you could order or cheesecake, but like ordering 2 tiramisus is a really big swing to assume that the other person also likes tiramisu because it seems like an acquired taste to me.
You know what? Why are we ordering 2 of the same dessert?
Oh yeah,
one of like 2 different ones and then share. If you're on a date, you're not ordering. Someone's not sitting there with their own dessert. You're shit. Like, isn't that anyway?
I'm gonna imagine if I went out on a date with someone and we sat down and he ordered my food for me. Just like, I don't even know what would happen. Like, I would like the date would be over in my mind, but I just don't even.
I think I'd start laughing. I would be like, I would start laughing. I would just be like, wait, huh?
Like, this is just a joke. Like, obviously, he said,
like maybe you're trying to be an alpha male or like
yeah, but I'm not into that. And also, I slaved over that menu all last night and this morning up until like I walked into this restaurant. I know what I'm having. Like before you go to a restaurant, don't you like check out the menu like 26 times?
No, but
really? Oh, that's my favorite thing to do.
Oh, well, Seema then reads him the riot act or whatever. She's like, "These aren't real pearls. She's not a
bitch. She's nice about it, and he's like, "Oh, that's great to know. I'm gonna go to the bathroom." So she thinks that it went well. And Sherry O'Terry shows up and she's like, I always follow my clients. And Seema's like, well, guess what, Sherry O'Terry? I was honest with him and he thinks it's great.
Then
Sherry
she says,
like, he just texted me.
This wasn't the Sydney jerk-off experience. This was the Sydney jerk-off experience. And then at least Sherry O'Terry's line is acknowledging how stupid that is because she's like, I've heard that one before. And guess what? She's still single.
Yeah, that was a good line.
Then she asked the waiter for a fork to eat the tiramisu that's been delivered.
Yeah, all right. I mean, might as well.
Carrie and
Miranda.
It corrected Miranda to Marin every time. Okay. Carrie and Marin are back to see Guacamole Bitch, and she's like, "Oh my god, you know what, Miranda? That light behind you is pretty awful." I'm talking to Amanda now. You know what, Miranda? We should be on this show. We should be on that Bi show, where it's all women dating and doing whipped cream together. You and me should be on that show. Oh, really? Like, I'm sorry. That to me, that line alone does that keeps the rest of this from making sense? Because then Miranda's like, you know who I think is really hot? You know, would you like to get a drink sometime? And the woman's like, that's really sweet, but I have a husband and 2 children and I'm straight. She throws down the guacamole and then leaves. Why did you suggest that you be on a bi women dating show if you're straight, lady?
Yeah.
So
that was Miranda's big cream pie for the episode.
Can we make the cream pie make a little more sense next time? Like after 8 guys breed you at a glory. I'm just kidding. Anyway, that's the only kind of cream pie that I know. Mm-hmm. So this, whatever they're trying to do is some bullshit. Carrie's in the bathroom, like at the restaurant, texting to Aiden. She's like, blah, blah, blah. Then she ends up writing an eye roll emoji to his thumbs down. I mean,
that was a good move. That's an Amanda move right there. Wait 2 days and then right back, eye roll. That's good.
Then Carrie and Miranda are walking. Miranda says that she has a thing for Joy at work, the British lady. And Carrie's about to meet with the landscape architect, who's hot-ish, and he's been in stuff before. He's like, he picks up Shu. Mind you, Shu has been let out by the other worker at the house, which I would beat that worker's ass. Are you kidding? And then this man picks him up off the street. You're on mute. Picks him up off the street. Amanda just was like berating the worker. I would fully
complain. No, I would this is where I would leave a Yelp review for sure.
This hot gardener comes up and he picks up Shu. He's like, hey, lady, here you go. And she's like, oh my God. Like, thank goodness you were here. And he's like, yeah, I don't think people just walk by anymore. I'm here for the bid for your job. It's they have a weird thing going, but it's
like some weird, like passive aggressive back and forth. They don't seem to like each other very much. And then I wasn't sure at the end if I was supposed to think that Carrie wanted to cheat with him, but then in the preview for next episode, so this is a man for Seema, it looks like. But I guess he like calls her out. Like he's they go to the backyard. He gives the cat back. They go to the backyard and he's like saying stuff about like, well, is this really what you want? And people should really know what they want.
Yeah.
And then she runs away.
She says a line that I'm sure is supposed to be really like deep here. He's like, so Carrie, what is your ultimate vision for this space? And now again, if we're doing the connection to this being her, this home is Carrie, or I don't know. MPK, let us know. She's like, I loved everything as it was, but now that's all changed. So I don't know what comes next. That is the line that she says about her garden, which I'm assuming has to do with something else. Right. And then he's like, hey, your cat's outside again. And I'm like, Carrie, do you close the door, woman?
Yes. That should be so second nature to you by now. When you have a pet, you are closing the door like behind you, like so close every time you walk in and out of her room.
See, luckily, I am so lucky. Butch, if I left the door open I have accidentally left my door open one time for like 4 hours. She doesn't even go near it. She was still just chilling. Anyway, here's how the episode ends. Carrie grabs Shu and is like pulling her skirt up to walk up the stairs. Up this also doesn't make any sense. There would be another exit to this garden besides 2 stories up. There would be an exit at the ground floor. There would be, no?
You would think.
The woman lifted her petticoat and hurried up the twisting iron staircase. She stepped carefully in her dove gray button boots to make sure that she wouldn't stumble as she crossed the threshold and went on her way.
This book is boring. Your book sounds awful.
Your book sounds stupid and boring. And please, what the fuck are you trying to tell us here, show? Truly, are you trying to say like,
he's there for Seema? It looks like. I don't think.
But I'm saying with her line here, like you're ending your episode on this moment that's supposed to like mean something, and it's she made sure that she wouldn't stumble as she crossed the threshold and went on her way. Went on her way from what?
I think it just means that she's like trying to tread lightly.
You guys.
But anyway, that's the end of the episode. Let's wrap it up.
I'm so glad that you guys made it. If you've made it this hard.
Yeah.
Hit subscribe, hit like, hit share to one friend that you're not embarrassed to share it to. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/podinthecity. Over there this week, in fact, like in 2 minutes, we're about to do this amazing episode full of chemistry of Smash, season 1, episode 6. I can't believe we're only on episode 6. Anyway, guys, check out all of our shit every week. We're also live for our weekly roundup, baby. So basically, here's our entire schedule. If you're on top of it, you're getting this episode Tuesday. If you're just here riding the wave, you're getting our and just like that episode Tuesday, you're getting our weekly roundup Wednesday, and then you're getting our live reaction to the most recent episode on Friday. So baby, you have this action-packed week to get your pussy pounded by Pod in the City. I'm delusional now. We love you guys so much. Hit all the shit, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.